Coming 8 years after it was first embarked upon in 2015 by the President Muhammadu Buhari administration, Nigeria Air is formally being launched.
This is one infrastructure that has been missing in the general aviation dynamics of the country. The airline that is equal to the size of the market, to the dynamics of the market of Nigeria, for its geography and the fortunes of the country. Indeed, we do need the kind of infrastructure that we're having today in the name of Nigeria Air.
The House of Representatives has on Tuesday exposed what seems to be one of the biggest scams perpetrated by the former President Muhammadu Buhari federal government, page 36 learned. The House of Reps specifically exposed the purported last-minute launch of Nigeria Air by the administration, declaring it a fraud. The chairman of the House Committee on Aviation, Hun, Nolim Naji, declared the launch of Nigeria Air a fraud. After the major stakeholders in the deal between the federal government and Ethiopian Airlines denied knowledge of the launch. Recall that the Ministry of Aviation claimed that Nigeria Air was only unveiled and not launched, which the committee dismissed as an attempt to divert the lawmakers' attention. Furthermore, members of the committee were shocked when the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency disclosed that the aircraft bearing Nigerian colors which landed at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, on May 26, 2023, was on a chartered flight to Nigeria. Other stakeholders who confirmed the disclosure noted that a chartered flight could be painted in any color and with any inscriptions.
Know what it takes for you operationally to be able to wiggle through those challenges. The aircraft performance is not at optimum. In some cases, you're not able to carry the loads, which is passenger and luggage you wish to do, and then you don't travel as far as you want to. But God, in His mercy and blessings, has situated Nigeria almost at sea level, where we will take advantage of geography for maximum performance of aircraft. So we have the population, we have the geography, we have the economy, we have the people, we have the know-how, we have the markets. And in this partnership, you are connecting the biggest population of Africa, Nigeria, with the second biggest population of Africa, Ethiopia. Connecting these two markets, this is equal in number of people when you look at Nigeria as not only Nigeria, but as the West and Central Africa hub to which we are, to which we provide market for, is 600 million people, plus the Ethiopian population of 150 million people. That makes it twice the size of America in population, equal to continental Europe, and it's a huge market with huge potentials. So it's a very long process that we went through, but we're here. Today we're here. When we came in 2015, we knew exactly what to do, but we didn't arrogate the wisdom and the knowledge to ourselves in the ministry, and I'm very sure in the ministry and the agencies put together, you perhaps will have 1,000 years of experience of aviation. But yet, because it's a public sector, we took all the studies done before our coming. The IOS reports, Political reports, and all of those reports, studied them, charted the roadmap, and commissioned consultants to give us a brief and a feel of what the sector was doing at the time we came in 2015. With that report, we called for stakeholder conference in 2016 at Shehu Musa Radwa Center, and we unveiled the roadmap. And we are all in agreement, and that is the best way to go. And the roadmap items are what the journalists have been reporting about. But the roadmap is such that it's intertwined with one another. We have the airline to serve the maintenance, repair, and overhaul facility, and vice versa. We have the airports to serve the airlines and the airlines to serve the airports. So we decided to concession the airports and so on and so forth on the legs of the roadmap. But because it's PPP, there's a public side to it, and because we wanted this to be very different, we said it's going to be private sector led and driven with some tinge of skin of the government in the business. So we allocated about 5% of the business to government. So that made it a PPP. And this PPP today is being guided by an entity called Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission. And they have their processes and the procedures. And we must remain guided by it because that is the law of the land. So it took us time, most of our first term, 2015, 2019, to develop the program and the project, to select a transaction advisor, and for him to go to market and to come back with an outline business case, which they did. But unfortunately, you also know that during that period, three things happened. The first that happened was that the country went directly into recession in 2016. With airline blocked funds of 480, Nigeria Airways 78 billion being owed, ex-workers of Nigeria Airways. And some people said we are not sensitive to that. We're going ahead to establish an airline when another government, which is not ours though, took out Nigeria Airways out of the scene, wounded it up, and they didn't pay the entitlement of the workers. And that's some 78 billion Nigerian naira during the recession. So we thought, well, perhaps yes. But perhaps this is another opportunity to employ other Nigerians through this project. So it didn't deter us, it made us to continue. But however, we approached Mr. President, President Muhammadu Buhari, who gladly and graciously paid the 78 billion Nigerian naira that is owned by these Nigeria Airways workers. Even though Nigeria Air Limited as a company, limited liability company known to Nigerian laws, has no bearing whatsoever with Nigeria Airways. But we thought that perhaps we should be responsive and responsible as a government out of compassion to pay this money. And we did. And we did. And then also we thought also that even though we are in recession, we should cough out the $484 or $83 million block funds during recession. And we did. And then of course, during the time, Mr. President was challenged and he spent some 7 months visiting hospital in the UK. Then we came back and of course we went through a round of election. And we had to suspend the project till after elections of 2019. Because even that time, our partners may be in doubt as to what happens, who succeeds who, because they are investors, and of course they need certain assurances. So we went to election in 2019, and we came back. We came back victorious, glory be to God, and we assume the mandate of the affairs of civil aviation again. And right after that, when we start to make move to conclude on the business case, get it approved, get it issued a certificate by ICRC, and proceed to the next stage, we entered into COVID. And another round of recession. So we went through COVID, but luckily we did extremely very well as a country. We developed early enough protocols, looked at the country, and as at the last count, we were still having under 5,000 people that died due to COVID. and less than 1 million infected by COVID. And airports being gateways were the first place that people with the infection came through the country and spread it up. But we did our bit. So during COVID, we didn't fold our arms. We continued to ensure that this project did not stop. And eventually, we got the business case approved, and we went to procurement. So there are very many countries and very many airlines and very many businessmen and women and entrepreneurs around the world that showed interest in this airline. Because when we did the bidders conference, on record, there are over 100 entities, individuals, entrepreneurs, companies, airlines, businessmen, and so on, that showed interest. And all that we've been doing from day one, we all had a website where all of the things that we're doing were dumped or were posted. It's the first time that any project would be so transparently done. As a matter of fact, Nigeria, I understand from ICRC, is the first country to host everything transparently on a dedicated site for public-private partnerships. And some of the bidders demanded for an extension. By the way, it was published in most Nigerian media houses, especially the print as well, including the Economist of London and other journals. And people responded, but they asked for extra time to be able to respond to the bid, which we granted. So since we granted